Part 48. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 471. In other words, Horikita Nii is preparing to keep in touch and maintain their relationship even after graduation. Oreki-san then silently memorized Horikita Manabu's real phone number. In fact, from the perspective of this advance arrangement, Horikita did a pretty good job. Thinking carefully, his ability to stay in the position of student council president is not an illusion. It is indeed different from the lonely and weak sister. If it's about being the president of the student union, then I feel like I've done a pretty good job and I have a clear conscience, but as a brother, I've done a terrible job. However, Horikita Manabu directly removed the previous piece of foreshadowing. Tell the truth. Or Horikita Manabu became sentimental, or he finally stopped hiding it. Just as Oreki thought at first, although he asked his sister to drop out of school too much at first, Horikita Manabu and his sister are the same. It is indeed the sister control / brother control without a doubt. I'm surprised that Suzun can stay in school without dropping out. But I know it's because you are by her side, Horikita Manabu continued. Isn't this quite wise? And I'm sorry, Horikita said. Because she has been twisted by you. Oh. Is it? But Horikita Nii, you also twisted your sister in this way in the past. Oreki-san disagreed. But I don't mean to criticize you, however, Horikita Manabu said. After all, that's what I did in the past. However, both then and now, none of these are real ringtones. And originally Horikita Manabu paused. I hope you can help me find her original self. But it's useless to talk about it now. Is it? In other words, Horikita brother is very aware that Horikita Suzun's current state is dependent on Oreki Houtarou's state. Suzun even felt that she had grown up. But that's not growth, it's just a desire to respond to Oreki-san's expectations. And Horikita understands this very clearly. Because Suzun treats you. Horikita Manabu seemed to say it unnaturally. As expected, Suzun has feelings for you mixed with love, Horikita Manabu said. Oreki didn't understand why he suddenly brought up this topic. And Horikita Manabu himself explained. I've confirmed that Suzun is in love with you. And the evidence is that when I announced the candidate list for student council president, I deliberately named your name and then eliminated it. And after the gymnasium, did Suzun come to you alone to vent her dissatisfaction? Horikita said. Dissatisfied, Oreki-san frowned. Horikita nodded, yes, she is a very strong person. I nominated your name in public, and then there were rumors that she was the sister of the student council president, so I only named you. She would be very unhappy. Is it? Oreki didn't notice anything unusual about Horikita. Look, Horikita Manabu said, this is the element of love mixed with Suzun's feelings for you. Although she may not understand it yet, Suzun must have a good impression of you emotionally, and this good impression is very high, which is why she restrained her dissatisfaction. And then ultimately nothing happened. Otherwise she will definitely vent to you. Horikita Manabu said. And I won't interfere in your love life. It's just that, as an older brother, I also need to protect my sister. So, don't let her get into love troubles while studying. I paid the points and applied to completely block the school from purchasing goods. Starting tomorrow, no more family planning supplies will be stocked in schools. I also hope that you can spend more time and energy on studying, Horikita Manabu said. That is to say, in the following campus life, everyone can only study cleanly. I can't do any couple things anymore. After all, once you get pregnant, you will definitely be noticed and kicked out of school. The man will also be affected and may be expelled from school. As the student council president, Horikita Manabu gave the younger students a space to concentrate on their studies. Chapter 204. Goodbye, Horikita Manabu. Oreki-san digested what Horikita-san said. It is true that as a senior, Horikita used his points to directly buy out the school's right to purchase family planning supplies. Without such safety measures, such young men and women would no longer be able to do something extraordinary. After all, if a human life is involved, both parties may be expelled from school. This brings disgrace to the school, and at the same time, the students are all specially selected samples by the school, so the loss is also a pity. So Horikita brother is thinking about giving up. Certainly. That's not all Oreki-san is thinking about. He also thought that in the gymnasium, Horikita's brother had previously eliminated the clues about his being a candidate for the president, but was he here to test his sister's emotions? In order to test and prove that Horikita Susan is in love with him. But Oreki-san has known about this for a long time. He also knew very well that Horikita-san just didn't understand love yet. Horikita Manabu probably only wanted to do these two things, so he left after describing the story. And Tachibana followed behind. The two still had a conversation. By the way, I thought Horikita-san might stop their relationship, Akane Tachibana said. Tachibana Akane and Horikita Manabu both belong to Class A. And now that Horikita has resigned, she is a classmate, so her Horikita classmates are also talking about Horikita. Huh? Do I look like the kind of person who has no mercy? Horikita Manabu was a little surprised. Well, that's not what I mean, but this morning, the first-year bulletin board and our third-year bulletin board announced a message from the new student council president, Sakayanagi. As expected, she removed Nagamo from the student union and changed the previous list of students at the same time. And among all this, there is one more thing. Tachibana Akane said this and went to see Horikita Manabu. She publicly announced that she is dating Oreki-senpai. Since Oreki-san is dating her, then the matter with Horikita-san's sister. She paused. Horikita learned. Oh. That Horikita Manabu pushed up his glasses nonchalantly. Sakayanagi did go too far this time. But I've said it before, Horikita Manabu said. Sakayanagi is a scarier person than me. So she expelled Nagaun from the student union without any accident. In the previous appointment of the first-year student council, she appointed representatives from 4 classes. And now we have expelled most of them, leaving only a few, and even brought in several students from Class D to make up the numbers. In other words, she wants to keep the authority of the student union in her own hands. The future development of this school is worrying. However, she is the daughter of Chairman Sakayanagi, and she will probably be restrained by the chairman. I am relieved about this. As for the relationship with Oreki, it is probably part of her plan. After all, she got so many votes, and Houtarou Oreki obviously got most of these votes for her. So making this kind of gesture of communication can be regarded as repaying the other person. Because my girlfriend is the student council president, it will be more convenient for him to do things or borrow tiger skins. And instead of joining the student council, he borrowed the skin of my girlfriend who is the student council president. In other words, Oreki has gained points from his peers and also from our upperclassmen, so the next step is probably to gain points from the freshmen. To do this kind of thing, you really can't do it as a member of the student union. This is a real pain in the ass. But Horikita Manabu continued. Just like Nagamo, Itayaru is not the kind of person who is obedient. So Oreki, may be at a disadvantage. And Horikita Manabu is just done. But Tachibana already understood. I see. In this way, the relationship between Banyanagi and Oreki is just a fake relationship, and it will probably be discontinued after a while. Tachibana nodded. Started to follow Horikita Manabu to the classroom. For them, who are third graders and still in Class A, the only thing left is the final assessment next month, the written examination. The assessment content is a written examination. The class evaluation score is not large, only 50 points. It has been confirmed that everyone will graduate as Class A, but don't forget that Yusheng High School is different from other high schools. Failure in this school is not as simple as asking you to make up the exam, but directly dropping out of school. They are all third graders. And we are all heading towards the bright road. Who can accept that the ship will sink in this final small battle? So most of Class A's academic abilities are good, but this time, they are also treated very carefully and seriously. In this way, at the end of February, all students in the school entered a state of serious review. Over in the library, even the first floor was full. So Hiri-san started to complain a lot. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 472. Because there were too many people, it didn't fit in with her library's setting of a literary girl. So she could only return to class honestly, and then start the makeup activities that Class C had been doing during the previous vacation. And March begins. On the 1st, the class teacher, Mr. Mashima, announced without any surprise that the final exam of the semester would be a written exam. The exam is on the 17th. The score is very small, 50 points. It seems that the time is a bit tight, but the assessment content is the teaching content of these 2 months. And for that, Sake Inagi-san opened his hand gently. Although as the student council president, he has considerable authority, and he can also choose the test scores of each grade for each special examination. But for this special exam, the score is fixed. Only the lowest 50 points. This is a decision made by the school, in other words, it is a state of satisfaction with the current situation. Now the content of the assessment has been reduced, that is to say, it only adheres to the concept of urging students to learn. It's not that I hope to defeat everyone. Students with good grades need to consolidate their grades, while those with bad grades need some make-up lessons. Same day. The first-year Class D students finally reacted belatedly. Get ready to start forming a study session. Hirata-san has returned to the class, and then invited classmates with good academic ability to hold a study meeting together. As for Juyuanji-san, he was in a good mood during this period, but unfortunately, he still refused to take anyone with him. For one thing, how could the arrogant Takahiraji just casually persuade someone to teach someone who had rejected him? There are some people whom he does not think will be useful if taught, and they are not worthy of being taught by him. At the same time, he has no sense of identity with Class D. I have always felt that being assigned here is like a pearl covered in dust. It's because the school has no vision. He collected part of the points from Class C, Class D, and Class B of the 3rd grade. Adding in the share of points he could control from Class C and Class D, he had accumulated about 18 million points in his hands. After waiting for another 2 months, he can collect 20 million shares. What kind of Class D will it be then? As long as he doesn't drop out of school, he can use his points to transfer to Class A when he graduates. Or you can go to Class A in advance. Of course, his personal idea is to rush to Class A first. Although he didn't care what class he was assigned to, he would choose this school to come here because his family made a deal with the people above him, so he didn't come here just to study. There is only one requirement, not to lose the quality. So according to the rules of this school, you will graduate as Class A. So that's what he's been doing. But isn't it nice to be able to go directly to Class A? Because the current class evaluation score of Class A is 2,818.5 points, which means that as a student in it, you can get 280,000 points. If you have money, you don't need it. Moreover, there aren't that many laggards in Class A. Even if there are some more exit voting exams, it's impossible to vote for him. He believes in his own worth. So, naturally, Kojinji will no longer contribute to Class D. Instead of giving tutoring lessons to your classmates, you should comb your beautiful hair more. Oreki-san's informant in Class D has already reported this situation. The remaining 38 students in Class D formed 7 groups. They were organized by Yukimura, Horikita, Kushida, Wangmiu, and Sakura-san. Hirata, on the other hand, leads 2 groups by himself. It should be said that he is everyone's Hirata. What needs attention on this list is that there is a new list. Sakura Eri. And she is also one of the first batch of Class D students to participate in the interest classes of the super genius Kojinji. When she entered school, she was also a poor student. But unlike Kuruzawa, who realized it after reading a lot of books, Sakura-san gained a lot when she took Takahiraji's class for the second time. So among the students who take tutoring, the one who is at the top. And now, she has actually been included in the list of candidates to organize the student union, which is an affirmation for her. But everyone knows Sakura is cute. This is her progress. Oreki-san is also happy with this development. After all, Sakura-san looks weak, but he is a good person. It would be a shame if he was expelled casually. Only. Oreki-san looked at the girl who came to his room for extra lessons. I don't think your grades will fail. Today is Saturday. Oreki usually isn't in school on weekends. So, now I have taken extra time to come here. Since he never came back with textbooks, he just watched the girl with blonde ponytail open the textbook and read obediently. His role is to supervise and provide subsidies. Kuruzawa-san said that Takahiraji-san no longer accepts makeup lessons, and she was assigned to Horikita-san's study group. Then, Horikita tested her academic ability and felt that she would not have any problems in this exam. So they kicked her out. She felt it was quite excessive. But I felt a little uneasy, so I needed someone to guide me. Then I asked Oreki-san. And now I came to his room on the weekend. Then study. Only. Kuruzawa discovered the subtle part in Houtarou's words. Because. Besides her, is there anyone else who seeks Houtarou's guidance in studying? Someone else has been looking for you, could it be Maya? Kuruzawa's eyes seemed to start to change. Let's just say that she has obviously accepted the current results these days, but her mood has actually improved in the past 2 days. Oreki. Okay. Oreki-san understood and blew himself up again. But I don't recommend that you come to me about studying, Oreki-san said. You have already started, so what you need is experience and yourself to move forward. So-called Xiao Hui pouted. My current status is not easy for you to get in touch with, Oreki-san said. After all, I am now the boyfriend of the student council president. Oh, however, Xiao Hui's mood seemed to have weakened. There is indeed such a consideration. So. But she put the pen down quickly. How far have you and the student council president, Banliu, progressed? For example, don't you need to date on weekends? Oreki. Oreki-san glanced at the 2-page exercise book that Kuruzawa put down without touching it at all. That's right, so talking about learning is all fake. It's true that I want to find out the progress of him and Itanyu-san. Sakayanaga's situation is quite special, Oreki-san thought for a while and said. And she's not in good health either. So she and I try to avoid some drastic actions. Oh. Kuruzawa nodded. In other words, there is no big date yet, and there is no such thing as going to a love hotel together in a good atmosphere. After all, President Sakayanagi looks very weak. It's really hard to do much in this physical state. 2. Megami remembered her experience when she sat on Houtarou's lap. I felt that Sakayanagi-san probably couldn't bear it. I'm afraid I'll beg for mercy soon. Woohoo. What is she thinking? Maybe she feels like she has become a bad girl. Then Kuruzawa, who instantly blushed, began to study seriously. In this way. On the 17th, all students in the school ushered in the final exam. This test means that the first-year students will graduate and will be promoted to the second-year students, and the third-year students will graduate, and at the same time, the next freshman will enter the school. Stadium. Graduation ceremony. First of all, I'm excited to serve as the valedictorian. The third grade students held a graduation ceremony in the gymnasium, and the person who represented the graduates was a student from class A of the third grade. It was Manabu Horikita, the previous student council president. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 473. At the same time, he is also an outstanding student in Class A. He delivered his speech with his customary calm expression, but toward the end, his tone rose slightly. Obviously. I promise you that what you learn in this school will definitely become the most valuable asset in your future lives. Those who will give the speech next year, or 2 years from now, will surely have a moment when they understand these words. This is the advice given to the underclassmen attending the ceremony. With that said, he looked in the direction of Class A, first grade. He was first evaluated and assigned to Class A, but then he defended the dignity of Class A and maintained his status as Class A to graduate. Only he knew the bitter experience. The current first grade Class A will also take over the baton. So, can you follow up? P.S. 2 updates are due, and 44 updates are still owed. Continue to pay off the debt tomorrow. Chapter 205. Oreki-san is being kept by a million again? After the graduate ceremony, there is still a teacher appreciation banquet that needs to be attended, but that is the graduate's business. As a third-year graduate, I will leave school on the 31st at the latest. You can also leave school midway. For first-year and second-year students, the holiday of the semester begins after the graduation ceremony. The tense spirit can finally relax for a while. The first and second grade students were soon freed after Horikita Manabu's speech. Ah! It's so tiring. The members of the student union were retained. Because I was assigned a task. The new officers have finished their work. They were arranged to clean up the tables and chairs at the graduation ceremony and organize the belongings. It has been 2 hours since the sorting was completed. It delayed lunchtime. However, since they were on vacation immediately, everyone teamed up and headed to the Kiyaki shopping center in the shopping district. Chairman Sakayanagi is simply going too far. The girls found a family restaurant and sat down. Then while waiting for the food, I started complaining. The person who complained was the accounting supervisor of the student union. And after she said this, she quickly stood up and looked around as if she was still frightened. As if worried about seeing someone scary. This is Sato-san. She felt bad about saying bad things about Sakayanagi before and then being caught by Sakayanagi on the spot. Originally, the student council members also included Ichino-san, Ibuki-san, and Shiina-san. They also invited them to come together, but Ibuki-san refused. She kept to herself, and Hiri-san seemed to take care of Ibuki's situation alone, so she didn't come with them. And Ichino-san was so popular that he was asked out by his classmates before he even came to the store. So after calculation, everyone here now is a student of Class D. Kushida-san, Horikita-san, Kuruzawa-san, Sato-san, Hospi-san, Petsakura, and then Matsushita-san and Shinohara-san, who were specially left to wait for Kuruzawa and the others. Everyone here is alone, and I didn't see Sakayanaga's puppy. So Sato-san continued. It's just too much. Let's do this much work. She didn't do anything herself. Now let us do this for so long, she won't be. Sato-san seemed a little unhappy. I went on a date with Oreki-san on purpose. In other words, this student council president goes too far. She shares the work with everyone, but she does it herself. Moreover, the romantic partner, is also the partner of Sato-san's defeated dog. Apparently Sato-san hasn't gotten over the incident of Oreki-san and Sakayanagi-san's relationship. I don't think so, Kurosawa said as he sat down and drank milk tea. Huh, Sato-san looked over. Megami, did you get some news? Sato-san was a little curious. Well. Only then did Kurosawa realize that everyone was focusing on her. I just think so, Hui explained quickly. Because we have also worked with President Sakayanagi for a while, and she is not in good health. So, I think even if we are dating, she won't date frequently. After all, her heartbeat is racing, etc., these will affect her body. So. Hui didn't continue. But the girls already understand. Does that mean it's similar to spiritual love? Haruka Hospi, who was curious about the gossip, joined the conversation. I feel a little sympathy for Sakayanagi-san. Sakura-san was a little sentimental. Although she was dissatisfied with the pet status at first, she soon discovered that President Sakayanagi didn't seem to really regard her as a pet. Instead, treat everyone equally and let her do the same job as everyone else. In other words, they are not treated differently. It reassured her a little. But now that I am emotionally rich, I already have time to pay attention to others. In fact, when he said this, Eri glanced at Kurosawa-san gently. Because others didn't know, but she knew from Oreki-san that Oreki-san and Kurosawa dated in junior high school. In other words, it is a past relationship. And now Oreki-san is in a new relationship. And Kurosawa-san and Sakayanagi-san are still in the same student union, which means they are in the same workplace. This is really fatal. And Ai Lee was worried about them. But an unexpected discovery, the two seemed to have no problem getting along with each other. President Sakayanagi would not target Kurosawa, and Kurosawa was not hostile to President Sakayanagi. It was a strange relationship. After all, this is a physical weakness, so Sakayanagi-san must be feeling sad too, Kushida-san said. What do you think, Horikita-san? Kushida elicited the name of a person who rarely showed up at their gatherings. It's Horikita Suzune. Horikita Suzune is a very popular girl in her class. However, this popularity does not mean that you like her because she is beautiful, but because of her intelligence and commanding ability, which can make Class D less miserable even in this strength-oriented school. She also had a scandal with Oreki-san, but everyone soon discovered that it might not be a scandal. It's just a friendship between ordinary men and women. Hospi also curiously asked her what she thought about Sakayanagi and Oreki-san's relationship. She said it as if she had lost a companion who was studying with her. That is to say. As expected, Horikita-san and Oreki-san have a relationship as pure as water. I have no interest in paying attention to other people's romances. Horikita-san was holding a vocabulary book even while sitting down. Why don't you say, Kushida-san, you want to make further progress in your physics subject, so now that you have the holiday, I think you can make up for it. Kushida. Wow. Horikita Suzune seems very boring like this. Kushida is one of the few people who understands that the relationship between Horikita Suzune and Oreki Houtarou is not clear. Rather, only Horikita-san feels that her relationship with Oreki-san is innocent. She is a person who doesn't understand love. Don't know how to love. So even if she sees the boy she likes with another girl, she will not be shaken. Because she didn't think she was dating Oreki Houtarou. For Kushida. I really want to see Horikita Suzune regret it. But once this relationship is exposed, the probability of Horikita and Oreki dating is quite high. After all, Oreki had said before that he wanted to marry Suzune Horikita. Therefore, this wood-like guy may be the final winner. And only if Horikita Suzune wins, then her favor will be worthwhile. Kushida thought it would be better to keep quiet for now. Goo. At this time, another member at the scene took a sip of his drink and made a sound. This is Panasonic Kayaki. I usually play with Kuruzawa, Sato, and the others. Then dress up like a hot girl, but a more rational girl. They can be considered irrelevant to the scene. Because she is not a member of the student council, she is just a friend of Kuruzawa and Kushida. Moreover, she had nothing to do with Oreki Houtarou, so it was a little embarrassing to keep bringing up the topic of them. Unable to talk. Ah, I'm sorry, someone asked me out. At this time, Kayaki Matsushita looked outside the window, then suddenly put down the milk tea and said. As he spoke, he stood up on his own initiative. Could it be a date? Kushida guessed. Hey. But Matsushita did not give a specific response. Everyone else looked at her with blessings. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 474. The end of the third grade graduation ceremony means that the holiday for this semester has arrived, so it is possible to develop a relationship or something during the holiday. After all, Matsushita-san is very beautiful. Then, Matsushita-san breathed a sigh of relief when his companions could no longer see him. The atmosphere just now was a bit uncomfortable for her. Although everyone was talking about other topics, they always felt that the same name appeared in some of the words. Oreki Houtarou. Oreki-san. This student intrigued her. But Matsushita still has an impression of the other party. After all, the other party came to Class D to sell materials on the first day of school. Panasonic is also one of the 11 students left who are willing to listen to the rules. Belongs to knowledgeable people. At the same time, she felt a little regretful. Because her peers have all joined the student union, but she has not. She initially considered whether she had lost money. She hid her strength. Yes. She hid her strength. Kayaki Matsushita is a very smart person. She learned this at a very early age. She was born into a wealthy family, middle class, and her parents would hire tutors for her, and she would also get good grades in return. She is a top student. From the first grade of elementary school to the third grade of junior high school, she never got second place in any test. Then in the future, you grow up, fall in love, and then probably get married to a financially capable man. Then live a happy life. It stands to reason. She also thought she would become like this. But there is always a strange feeling. This is probably too smooth. Then, one day, when she was in the third year of junior high school, the principal told her that there was a peculiar school she wanted to attend. And this school is the High Education High School. That's right here. During the interview, she discovered that the school used various methods to examine students based on their grades. She was smart enough to understand that this must be related to class placement. Only. This amused her. She didn't show her strength, she chose to keep a low profile. That's how it is now. He maintained an excellent position in the class, but he was in a weak position. Then. She regretted it. She had regretted it from the first day when Houtarou Oreki came to sell materials. At that time, I understood that this was a school where strength came first, and only students in class A could go to the school or position they wanted. And later on, it was discovered that, the Class D they were assigned to was simply terrible. So. She regrets it? Just regret. Because her level is definitely good enough to go to Class A. If you deliberately failed and performed poorly in the written interview before admission, you will definitely be able to go to Class A. But, even knowing the result, she didn't lead the class either, she didn't like doing that. In terms of her grades, she is confident that she can be better than Hirata, her physical ability is better than Kushida's, and in terms of brain, she will definitely move faster than Horikita-san. However, she still doesn't want to lead the class. After all, if you observe this class, you will find that although some people are very good, they also have big problems. So she lurked. And she also failed in the command tower exam that passed some time ago. Class D competed against Class A in the mental arithmetic project. Then Class D had to abstain because there was no one who was good at mental arithmetic. In fact, she can do mental arithmetic, and is even very good at it. Received some awards. However, her math scores in the class were deliberately above the average level. If she performed well in mental arithmetic, she might be found out. And then that's it. Didn't express himself. As a result, when I turned around, I found, my companions had joined the student union. And the better self, is excluded. This feeling is actually not very comfortable. But emotionally, I feel that it would be better not to join the student union. Because she is very smart. She's also very perceptive. I found that the list of the student union this time was a little subtle. Because President Sakayanagi definitely doesn't choose the officers for their strength, so what is it? What are the selection criteria? Just now, she seemed to understand. I see. It was a girl from Class D who had a relationship with Oreki-san who chose to join the student council. But isn't this terrifying? Because they all invite love rivals to join the student union. Is it just what Sato-san said, arranging the love rivals to do work, and then Sakayanagi himself and Oreki-san go on a date? Although it is possible. But she felt that President Sakayanagi was probably not very good at playing. Because if she were the student council president, she would definitely abuse her power and let her male votes enter the student council. And there are benefits to this. Because I want to show my affection in front of my love rival, and I like to see your helpless expressions when you can only watch. Wouldn't that be great? So Sakayanagi-san is still young and not very good at playing. With mixed feelings in his heart, Matsushita-san left his companions. Because while they were discussing Oreki-san, Matsushita-san had already sharply spotted Oreki-san passing by outside the window. So I found an excuse and followed him out. She saw Oreki-san looking at his phone with a reluctant expression, and then moved deeper into the shopping mall. Panasonic wants to follow suit. Hello. However, an old man wearing a white shirt took the initiative to greet her. Hello. This was a complete stranger, but Kayaki remained polite. Moreover, this uncle may not be in good health, and his left arm is still in a plaster cast. Looks like he was injured some time ago. The injured uncle nodded at her and walked forward. It always feels a little strange. Matsushita Kayaki thought, and then continued to follow Oreki Houtarou. She spotted Oreki walking into a restaurant. And the uncle who just greeted me also entered the same store. Oreki-san took the tableware and found a seat to sit down. The uncle also took the tableware and sat down opposite Oreki-san. It's the same table. At the same time, while sitting down, the uncle took out an anonymous point card from his pocket. Chapter 206 Look into the mirror and look at yourself. The injured man Matsushita met sat down opposite Oreki-san. It's really difficult for you to go to the appointment, the uncle said. This is the point card promised to you. You can check it. Then he pushed the point card to Oreki-san's side. As a student who has been in this school for a year, Kinkai also knows about the existence of these point cards. Oreki-san didn't hesitate and directly used his mobile phone to swipe his points card. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 475. 1 million points have been credited to your personal account. Oreki-san's cell phone prompted. Confirmed the point card information. Matsushita. 1 million point card. This number is a bit big for her. At the same time, the amount of 1 million. Matsushita's face showed a little surprise, because a terrible suspicion arose. Because Oreki Houtarou-san is from Class A, he has always been a man of the hour. and I often hear information related to him from some girls. Among them, one of them is, Oreki-san was supported by his sponsor senior sister with 1 million points per month soon after he entered school. At the same time, he will also send money to the other party on his birthday. And this sponsor senior sister is very considerate. She didn't tell Oreki-san any information about herself, and she also didn't ask Oreki-san to do things for her. But look now. Since Sakayanagi-san is not Oreki-san's sponsor, then who is that sponsor senpai? Result: 1 million. Is this actually the case? It's actually an uncle. Matsushita-san was greatly surprised. Then Matsushita-san came to the table not far behind Oreki-san with a weak sense of presence and sat down. Their conversation can be heard from here. Kinkayu didn't want to eavesdrop, she was just curious. "You are so expensive," the uncle spoke first. "It actually costs 1 million to buy your 10 minutes. Actually, you can go directly to see Ayanokaji-san," Oreki said. "Forget it," the uncle said. "I have some psychological shadow on him now. He showed no mercy to me at all. He clearly knew that his father arranged for me to come here. But a comminuted fracture is not pleasant." As he said this, the uncle seemed to look at his hand that was still in plaster with a wry smile. As for Matsushita-san, who sat down with a low sense of presence and eavesdropped. Confused. Because why did the topic of this conversation start with comminuted fractures? And in this topic, it seems that this uncle was beaten by Ayanokaji-san. Ayanokaji-san. As for this surname, Matsushita knew that he was an ordinary classmate from Class D. The presence is not very high. However, in the class vote to drop out of the exam, Kushida pulled him into the group and was selected to be dropped out. In the end, it was revealed that it was Yamauchi's idea. But why target Ayanokaji-san? The result is this. This Ayanokaji-san is really awesome, and he even injured someone. Then the timer starts. "My 10 minutes you purchased will start timer now," Oreki-san said. Principal Yu Chang. And he did indeed set the alarm clock on his cell phone. Watching Oreki-san's actions, Tsukiro sighed softly. But principal, do you mean the principal of this school? Although the school gives many permissions to students. However, there are still directors, principals, and the like. And isn't the principal the first person under the chairman? Matsushita Kayaki felt that she shouldn't have come today, as all she heard was incredible information. If Oreki-san wasn't playing tricks on her, then these would be horrible things. Another classmate beat up the principal, and then the principal was still smiling. And it was Oreki-san from Class A who was selling time, 100,000 points per minute. I have only heard that some people who want to be famous will go out of their way to buy a little bit of the big shot's time, a few minutes or even 10 minutes. And this is to recommend yourself and show your differences and potential. As a result, did this scene play out in front of me? I thought this uncle was a scary person who supported Oreki-san, but now it turns out that this is not the case, but someone who wants to buy Oreki-san's time with a lot of money. Although they are both students, Oreki Houtarou has already reached that far. Matsushita-san instantly felt that he was too shallow. "You are indeed like this," Yu Cheng said. "Oreki-san, I've never seen anyone like you before. And my purpose remains the same. I want him to drop out of school and go back to his father. And you have reached an intention to cooperate with him. So if I don't get rid of you, it will be difficult to operate on him," Yu Cheng said. "Especially now that the student council president is on your side. It's indeed a good idea, Oreki-san." Oh, however, Oreki-san nodded expressionlessly. Yu Cheng sent him a text message, buying him 10 minutes. But it will make money. Although Oreki-san is not short of money, since Tsukiro has been in school, there must be some problems for the next first graders. then it might affect the plan he arranged for Hiri and his classmates to search for first-year students. So as a student of Class A, he used the exclusive ability of Class A students to go out and collect information. But looking at it now, it seems that I was wary of the mistake. Because Mr. Yu Cheng seemed to have some intention of retreating. But I guess there's no point in you saying that to me because I'm going to continue to support him. I have something I need him to accomplish, Oreki-san said. As expected, your attitude is very determined, Yu Cheng said. Then do you dare to take a gamble with me? I applied to that adult for the chief position in the White Room. Of course, after he left, there was only rubbish there, but the chief was the only one that the adult valued very much. It can be said that that person is even stronger than him. I will arrange for that person to enter the school. If that person defeats him, then he will return to that adult. And I only have one bet. The chief of the White House will enroll as a freshman. If you can find out the identity of that freshman, then I can give you 20 million points. And if you can't do it, then I hope you and the student union will stop interfering. As Tsukiro said this, he noticed that Oreki-san was sighing. What? Is there anything strange about what I said? Yu Cheng said. Yes, Oreki nodded, because, if your lord is really surrounded by such a strong person, why are you still obsessed with Ayanokaji-san? So it makes no sense what chief you appointed, Oreki-san said. Ah, this. Yu Cheng was stunned. It can indeed be said. Isn't it because he is that adult's son? Yu Cheng speculated. But even when he said this reason, he didn't think it was credible. Because that adult is not someone who cares about family ties. If he really cares about his family, he would not send his infant child to a facility to be nurtured indiscriminately. Let's see. Oreki-san then stood up. So, if you still participate in a bet that is bound to lose, do you have too much money? And 10 minutes are up, Oreki-san said. As he spoke, Oreki walked directly outside. Not even the food I ordered. Yu Cheng was left sitting in a chair thinking. Oreki-san left immediately after 10 minutes. Matsushita, who had a low sense of presence and felt that he was still confused after hearing the shocking news, quickly followed. Certainly. It's not that she became a stalker, but that she felt she couldn't make sense of the information she was getting. Another classmate, Ayanokaji, hit the principal. Then Oreki-san became a big shot and needed to be measured in terms of money. And then, there are the adults, the father, the White House, dropping out of school and so on. Don't understand it at all. And she also knew very well that she had heard terrible news, and if something happened, she might be implicated. After all, they have been talking about dropping out of school, and whether it is President Sakayanagi or the principal, they may directly drop her out of school as an ordinary student. So she decided to find Oreki-san. Not only did she ask clearly, she also had to protect herself first. However, Panasonic just came outside and walked forward for a while, but suddenly he was confused. The reason is simple. Hey! Oreki Houtarou-san was nowhere to be found. She clearly saw Oreki-san walking into this alley after leaving the store. But there was no one in front. Etc. Matsushita Kayaki reacted instantly. But it's too late. Why are you following me? Kayaki Matsushita from Class D, 1st grade. The boy's voice suddenly appeared in the narrow alley. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 476. Kinkai was also surprised to find a figure falling quickly from above the alley. This is a very handsome boy. And this boy was none other than Houtarou Oreki from Class A that she had been following. Well, why do you think I'm following you? Matsushita is very smart. She knows that Oreki-san can find her, which means that quibbles are useless. And the conversation she just heard was really shocking, so she felt it was better to tell the truth. She had learned karate, but she had absolutely no confidence that she could beat Oreki-san. First of all, your self-concealment skills are too poor. If you want to follow me, you must first eliminate your own aura, Oreki said, and the students in my class do this very well. And just now in the store, when Principal Yu Cheng was talking, his eyes were slightly averted. It seemed that there was someone who cared about him. Then I raised the cup and saw your figure wearing a hat in the reflection of the cup. So, Matsushita-san, what do you want to do, and what is your relationship with Principal Tsukijo? Oreki-san said without changing his expression. But Matsushita-san's face was already in a mess. Because the adult world is so scary? Matsushita-san was convinced. The first was Principal Tsukijo. He probably didn't greet her because of anything, but because he discovered that she was following Oreki-san. Oreki-san then found out through observing Tsukiro that she was following him. Then he left with an excuse, most likely to test whether she would follow him. What a terrible man. Okay, I admit, I am indeed following you, Kinkaio immediately replied. I was in a milk tea shop with Sato-san and the others, and they were talking about you. Then I saw you, felt curious, and followed you. And I don't know Principal Yu Cheng, but he talked to me after following you. I thought he was just a stranger, but I didn't expect that he probably found out that I was following you. As he said this, Matsushita-san was also observing Oreki's expression. Mainly because she deliberately mentioned Sato-san's name. Sato-san is Oreki-san's bitch, but most of the girls in Class D know about the dog-sitter thing. So she tested him to see if he would respond. If you want to read information from other people's expressions, you have to protect your own expression first. But Oreki-san raised his phone to face Kayaki-san and took a photo with himself as the background. Ah! Matsushita-san immediately understood that the temptation had failed. Oreki-san is indeed a dangerous person. First, just in this photo, she came to a place like this alone and was still with Oreki-san. Regardless of whether she did anything or not, she would probably be scolded as a bitch. At least Sato-san in the team will definitely exclude her. Especially since she just left with an excuse, so if it was found out, she was actually going to see Oreki-san. She felt she might be bullied by the hot girls. After all, she is just pretending, she is not a real hottie. So, Oreki-san immediately caught the absolute dirt on her by pointing out that she was with Sato-san and the others just now. It's scary. Are these students from Class A? At first, Matsushita-san thought that he would be directly assigned to Class A if he didn't give in, but now he sees, the students in Class A are terrible. Looking into the mirror and looking at oneself, it is not as if it is far away. Because his quibbles failed and his attempts failed miserably, Matsushita realized his position clearly. As a price, he told Oreki-san his information. A long time ago, when the relationship between Oreki and Kushida-san was still as smooth as water, Kushida said that there were some problem children in Class D. Among them are Ayanokaji, Takajanji-san, Hirata-san, and of course, Matsushita-san. Kushida's evaluation at the time was this: Panasonic seemed to be hiding something, such as leaking water or something. And this evaluation became a reality. Kushida has a good sixth sense. Matsushita Kayaki, a female, second-generation rich, excellent in all aspects at the same time, no worries, she was selected by the school, and then joined this school just out of interest. My future goal is to grow up healthily and peacefully. I want to work as an elegant stewardess, and then marry a capable and financially strong person in the future. At the same time, the other person's parents are also reasonable people. But after all, she lived too happily, so when she entered school, she chose to hide her strength. My grades are very good, but if you are too good, it will be destroyed by the wind. Like Horikita-san, it is difficult to make friends, Matsushita Kayaki said. Oh. At first, Oreki-san just wanted to intimidate Matsushita-san and let her go. But now, after hearing that Horikita-san was treated as a unit of measurement, I thought it would be okay to stay a little longer. Chapter 207 Plainness is the Truth. Oreki-san decided to listen more. But Matsushita didn't understand that he had stepped on thunder. Instead, he went on to talk about his reasons for letting go. Her way of doing things is that she thinks she is excellent, and then she wants to gain friends in her high school career, so she hides herself. After all, if you are too good, not only will you not be able to find friends, you may even be ostracized. Because people are bad-natured, and there are actually relatively few good people, so if you want to make some idiot friends, you really can't keep too far away from them. Therefore, Panasonic-san has failed in many areas. That's it? But your concept of mate selection can actually be realized now. Oreki-san then said, there are people in our school who meet your requirements. It can't be you, right? Kayaki appeared a little wary. Because Oreki-san is so weird. After getting the weapon to threaten her, he only asked her about her views on mate selection. If it's a girl, then it can be understood as gossip, but why do boys do this too? What does he want to do? Matsushita-kun still knows that she is beautiful and has good dressing sense. In other words, although there are too many beautiful girls in Class D, she is not so dazzling, but she can still do it. Therefore, she never expected that Oreki-san from Class A would actually treat her. Sure enough, it was what Kuruzawa and the others said because Sakayanagi Yuzu was not in good health, so they could not go on dates or fall in love, and then, do they want to find another tool to carry it? Wow! It feels terrible just thinking about it. Was she so miserable just because she was curious? Matsushita-san instantly became uneasy. What are you talking about? Oreki-san said silently, I'm not interested in you. Kayaki Matsushita. Okay, so who is the person you're talking about that meets my requirements? The concept of mate selection just mentioned is indeed her standard, so she is also somewhat interested. Because she herself didn't realize that there was such a person in this school. Koenjiro Kusuke Oreki said. Still a classmate in your class. But this made Matsushita-san jump to his feet. Go hi, Koenji-san. Yes, he is the only son of a large chaebol, and he is already a director. His parents are rich, and you have to be reasonable in that kind of state. And the financial strength is strong. No, 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 wait, my three views are going to be crushed, let me sober up. Matsushita-san quickly stopped him from continuing. If it is consistent, it is consistent. But Koenjiro Kusuke. The whole class ignored it? Confident and narcissistic. Always holding a small mirror to look at his face and combing his hair. Because he is too arrogant and doesn't like to pay attention to others, even a good little angel like Kushida is embarrassed. So the other girls didn't even look at him. Although he held a cram school in his class and brought many people with him, such as Sakura, Kuruzawa, Sato, and others, she did not participate. It really didn't feel right. Because I don't understand what Yuanji is saying at all. They are completely people from two worlds. But now, she said that Koenji was the one who matched her views on mate selection, and Matsushita-san felt like he was vomiting blood. She refused to do this. Then, since you know it's uncomfortable to be said such things, you have to pay attention to yourself. Oreki-san said. Don't stalk others just because of your own temporary interests. And Gao Yuanji and I can still talk. He has always felt that he is very valuable and that ordinary girls cannot become his wife of Yuanji. And you hiding your strength might interest him. Oreki-san looked at her expressionlessly. If you don't want to be pursued by Koenji, then yes. Don't belittle Horikita Suzun casually. She may be alone, but is it really bad to be alone? What's more, she now has Kushida as a friend. Saying this, Oreki-san left here. Kayaki Matsushita was left in a daze. After standing alone for a while, Matsushita returned to the group of girls. Everyone is still at the family restaurant. What happened? Someone noticed that her face was a little pale. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 477. This is Kushida-san who is good at observing the atmosphere. No, I just felt uncomfortable because I was let go, Matsushita Kayaki said. It's really. Those boys are too casual. Since you are asking someone out, you shouldn't be casual. The girls became lively. It's just that Panasonic's expression was not very good, and he just teased him for a while and then became cold. The girls began to discuss the changes in the boys. After all, the final exams are over, and the third graders have just graduated and left. For them, it is spring break now, so they have a lot of time during this break. Enough to socialize with the boys and hang out together. So everyone finally started to lighten the atmosphere and talk about their respective views on mate selection, that is, what kind of boys they want to date. This is a stressful topic, but Sato-san has calmed down, so it should be okay. Matsushita was relieved to find that everyone took care of her emotions. This means that Oreki-san didn't release the photo. So she was not friends with Sato and the others. But she felt very strange. What's wrong? Horikita Suzun was still reading the words. She has already eaten. Now she is reading some words waiting to be digested. After all, taking action immediately after a meal may increase the burden on the body, so she continues to read the words. But she noticed that Matsushita-san had been staring at her since she came back after leaving. Still that kind of appraising gaze. Nothing. Matsushita-san shook his head quickly. She was really looking at Horikita Suzun just now. It is true that Horikita-san is indeed very beautiful, with beautiful straight black hair, standard fox eyes, and an awe-inspiring temperament. There are probably many people who like her. But unexpectedly, she was Oreki-san's crush. Because she was taught a lesson by Oreki-san just now, but the final point was not to look down on Horikita-san. In other words, he was defending her. That is to say. That's awesome, Horikita-san. Seeing as you were honest and focused on your studies, you ended up capturing Oreki-san a long time ago. In other words, even if Oreki-san is dating the student council president now, you will be the winner in the end. And this time, Panasonic's attention was drawn. Girls still talk about the type of boys they like. What a surprise. I didn't expect you, Kushida, to like this. Polyagia said. Because Kushida's requirements are actually very low. It doesn't matter whether he is handsome or ugly, as long as he is pleasing to the eye, and he only needs to be a motivated and hard-working person. Obviously Kushida-chan is so cute, but her requirements are so low. Hee, but I think plainness is the truth. Kushida-san showed a slightly shy smile. However, this is a lie. In fact, what Kushida was thinking was that because she was too stupid after entering school, she was constantly being manipulated by Oreki, and her demands became more and more excessive. She was about to change into his shape, so it was unclear whether she could get married. Confirmed. After all, she will become a messy girl before she gets married. And boys definitely don't like this. And she also already had an idea. As long as Oreki and Horikita Suzun get married, then Horikita Suzun will be married. She will give her a big gift. And in such a state, it is really not suitable to think about someone you like. After all, Kushida-san is ambitious. So she quickly ignored the topic. I hope my future half will be outstanding. Polyagia, who likes gossip and such topics, spoke briefly. Because girls like this kind of topic, if they deliberately reveal their requirements. And then it's not good to be matched with a male partner or something like that. Because Hospi-san gets discouraged easily despite looking at her, and becomes Oreki-san's informant just for the sake of points. But she still pursues something emotionally. Hospi's appearance is not bad, but he is also a bit precocious. It's just that her breasts are very big and have been growing since elementary school, which makes her feel very different. At the same time, she also felt the malicious eyes of others. So she hates boys. It should be said that I have no favorable impression at all. The same goes for high school. Because her breasts were so big, she felt very troubled, as if those idiots in the mountain were still ranking the ones with the biggest breasts at the beginning of school. It makes people feel speechless. However, she knew the outcome. The chief must be Ichinosara. It's just that she herself is ranked second, and Eri is probably around third. Eri also had big breasts, which caught her eye and made her think that they were the same type of people. Then became friends. And she also knows that her style is still in line with boys' aesthetics. And in this school, I also received some love letters. But she wasn't interested. So she doesn't want to marry him. Kayaki, it's your turn, Hospi said. She quickly jumped over herself. If you talk about others, she will be interested, but you, don't want it? Hey, is it my turn? The concept of mate selection. Speaking of the concept of mate selection, Matsushita-san hesitated, because she didn't want to be said to be Koenji's mate selection concept. I also think it is true in general. Why are you all like this? Shinohara-san protested, everyone is obviously very cute, but in the end, they just feel normal. But here, Shinohara-san is actually a girl with average looks. Short hair, wearing hairpins. She is not very popular among girls, but because she is a real hot girl and has a very straightforward personality, and because she has a good relationship with Kuruzawa, everyone usually takes her with them when they go on the move. However, her lack of appearance has always been her inferiority complex. Result: why do you good-looking people have such low expectations? She was surprised. Compared to this, it's better to think about how to deal with it at the student union tomorrow. But Kuruzawa Megami diverted the topic. She didn't want to be asked this question. Because if she really tells her views on mate selection, then the goal is too clear. At the same time, she was sitting next to Matsushita Kayaki. Matsushita went out for a while and then came back, but she keenly noticed that Matsushita's body had a little breath. This smell was very familiar to her. Because she herself was obsessed with the scent a few days ago. So, Matsushita-san, this Baichi. I went out for a while but went to look for Oreki-san. This guy Houtarou. No matter it was Sato or anyone else, in the end, he wouldn't reject anyone? You know, he has a girlfriend now. So Hui felt that he had to win back the game first. The others looked at her. Spring break starts today, but we were informed that there will be tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, and we have to report to the student union for a week in the morning. Don't you think this is too much? Because President Sakayanagi doesn't do much work. Hui said. I usually just see Katsuragi-san and Kiriyama-senpai working. Well, this. Most of the people present were members of the student union. Everyone thought about being left to put away chairs and clean up today, which took a full 2 hours. After doing this, President Sakayanagi has long since disappeared. But the order I received was that I had to deal with the accumulated workload in the next week. Hey. This is a holiday. But do they have to work? So. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 478. Kuruzawa suggested, let's make trouble for her. Reduce your efficiency, otherwise you will be in trouble if you are always required to work with high requirements. This is good advice. If you are fully efficient from the beginning, won't you be asked not to be lazy the next time you work? So, Kyaki's suggestion was immediately well received. And, although Sato-san is timid among the people here, she is still willing if she can cause trouble for Sakayanagi-san. Although Kushida felt that this was of no use, she felt that there was no harm in joining. After all, she didn't want to do so much work. Why not fish if you can fish? And she had been pretending to be well behaved these days, and Sakayanagi didn't deliberately embarrass her. At the same time, he was still asking her for a photo of Oreki-san. It means that Sakayanagi did not count her among the vixens. This is a good thing. So Kushida felt very relaxed. She looked at Horikita Suzune, who was already flipping through the word list, and immediately spoke to her. What do you think, Horikita-san? How about what? Horikita Suzune seemed not to have listened to their conversation just now. This is very taboo for girls. It's just that Horikita-san's friendship was always capsized, so everyone forgave her. It means causing trouble for Sakayanagi-san. Fishing or something like that, Kushida said. Because Horikita is also a member of the student union, it would be foolish for them not to become more powerful if they want to cause trouble. This kind of thing is boring, Horikita Suzune said. I have no interest in participating. This is really Horikita-san's style. So we can't be allies. Then, although Horikita-san's participation is missing, but the momentum of Class D is still there. However, the group of people united aggressively to resist Sakayanagi, who fished alone and made them all work. When I went to the student union on the second day of spring break and wanted to slack off, I was told that if I took up my seat and didn't work, we would all go pick up trash and clean for the entire spring break. And Kushida also found that she was being treated equally. Then the little spark of resistance to the team was immediately extinguished. Obediently, he became a work tool in the student union. Chapter 208. Welcome to the second grade chapter where strength is supreme. March 31st. Spring break is over and a new semester is about to begin. And the peach blossoms that had been blooming for a long time also bloomed quietly in the early morning. The fragrant fragrance spreads throughout the campus. On the 18th, the third grade students held a grand graduation ceremony and teacher appreciation banquet. The third graders also started to leave school one after another around the 20th. From before to now, today is the last deadline to leave school. However, I have to say that these 3 years of campus life still give people a mixed feeling. And Horikita Manabu is the last batch of people to leave school. Horikita brother. Horikita Manabu was walking slowly along the campus path towards the school gate when he was suddenly stopped by someone. He turned around and said, I thought you weren't coming, Oreki-senpai. Appearing in front of him was a boy with short black hair and green eyes. Before leaving school, any student needs to return his or her cell phone to the school, sign a confidentiality agreement, and can only leave the school with his or her personal belongings. The same goes for Horikita Manabu, who needs to accept this process. In the morning, he went to the student union to submit his mobile phone and sign a confidentiality agreement. Then I met my sister there, who was still in the student union. However, it was already noon, and he came out after having lunch at school with Akane Tachibana and her sister. But there is no Oreki Houtarou. As a result, this guy just showed up now. I thought you weren't coming. Horikita turned around and said. Tachibana Akane has already reached the school gate and is talking to her younger sister Suzune, who has come to see her off. But the two of them were probably chatting awkwardly. Horikita Manabu thought in his mind. His sister has been chasing his back, but it is also a pity. Because his sister is still different from him. My sister can't learn things like this, how to communicate with others. Not to mention, My sister has been led astray. Although the final result exceeded my expectations, I have no intention of interfering anymore. Horikita Manabu said this and handed a point card to Oreki Houtarou. I'm not a good brother, and I'm not very good at expressing my emotions. So, when you think it's appropriate, you can hand it over to her. In other words, did he deliberately wait 10 minutes longer for Oreki-san's arrival just to give this point card to Horikita Suzune? If it was just for his sister, then he could give it to himself. Therefore, what is needed is Oreki's judgment ability. And this is similar to the meaning of entrusting his sister to him. Oreki-san accepted the commission from Horikita Manabu. So, Horikita Manabu probably just wanted to submit the point card, so after completing this work, he walked towards the school gate. In 2 years, I will be waiting for you outside the school gate. Then let me see how you have grown up. With that said, Horikita glanced at Akane Tachibana, and the two left the school they had attended for 3 years together. Oreki-san and Horikita-san watched their backs until their figures were no longer visible. A little melancholy, Horikita Suzune said while watching her brother's leaving figure. This was a time when she rarely showed emotion. Then grow up and let him see your growth in 2 years, Oreki-san said. Even so. However, both Horikita and Oreki-san understand that Horikita Suzune will probably not be able to continue to grow as long as she remains by Oreki-san's side. So the rhetoric Horikita learned just now was just ordinary polite communication. And Oreki-san's words were just verbal comfort. Correct. Oreki checked the point card that Horikita's brother left for Horikita. Beep dash. After scanning the QR code for identification, the amount on the point card immediately popped up. Beep. The amount that can be withdrawn from the card is 20 million. Horikita's brother left 20 million yuan to his sister. 20 million is enough to deal with the penalty of dropping out of school, and at the same time, you can go directly to the class you want. Hee. Is it worthy of being called a brother's measure? Oreki looked at the amount and smiled softly. He retracted his evaluation of Horikita Manabu. I used to think that Horikita Nii was a tough guy who could lead a class by himself, which was true. Then, in order to work hard for the exam in the forest, I gathered points with the whole class. In the past, he himself had been acting as the class's bank, collecting the class's points and then applying them to exams. But Horikita Manabu is not completely righteous. He has his own ideas. So he himself also accumulated some points. He had just left school with a small leather bag. According to Kosake Inagi, Horikita Manabu also went to the chairman's side and went through the process of exchanging points and cash specifically for graduates. And after completing this process, an additional 10 million can be distributed to my sister, which is indeed well-intentioned and powerful. At the same time, among the rumors previously spread by Hiri-san, in addition to the fact that Horikita Suzune is the sister of the student council president, there is also the fact that Horikita Suzune does not need to worry about points. Because her brother will give points to his sister when she graduates. And now look. This rumor may not be a rumor, but a fact. This brother indeed gave his sister a chance to fly upward. But this was not in line with Horikita Manabu's behavior of specifically staying in school and waiting for him to show up. In other words, this is what Horikita Manabu hopes. Do you want to recharge the points into the point card numbered 10659XX5090? Yes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 479. Points recharge completed. Your private account balance is currently 90,500,000 points. Looking at the notification on her phone, Oreki-san handed the point card to Horikita Suzune. Horikita was confused. This is how your brother and I evaluate you, Oreki-san said. You are still very weak, so we are all worried about you. So we will give you enough opportunities to get back up again. Welcome to Class A. But your strength has not fully reached the requirements of Class A, so you may fall down a bit. And we have already decided that we will pay for it for you, Oreki-san said. So just relax. What does it mean? Susan frowned and took the point card, scanning it with her phone. Available quota is 60 million. 20 million can save you from dropping out of school once, or you can go directly to the class you want to go to. It is a channel that can be promoted to Class A. And now, 60 million means 3 chances. This means that my brother and Oreki Houtarou think she has to wrestle 3 times. Such a thing. I originally felt that although Oreki-san is relatively close to her, he rarely reveals his true feelings towards her. And now, he finally took a stand. But now this view is too callous. Susan then decided to ignore him for now. The last batch of graduates has left the school, and for Yuchin High School, it is a new day, bidding farewell to the old and welcoming the new, the day when new students enter the school. April 1st. Next, let's ask the student council president to speak. The entrance ceremony for first-year students was held in the gymnasium. The freshmen lined up according to their classes. It's just that the freshmen find it a little strange. I didn't see the principal or many teachers at the scene. There were only student union members wearing student badges at the summit. After a beautiful girl with long golden pink hair who seemed to be the secretary of the student union spoke, a silver-haired girl with a black cane appeared there. The girl is quite beautiful, with beautiful short silver hair and snow-white skin, like an exquisite porcelain doll. There was a smile on her cheeks. Then he flicked the microphone gently. Beep! A sudden noise made the student who was whispering quickly come back to his senses. I am Sakayanagi Yuzu, the student council president of this school. The silver-haired girl introduced herself succinctly. She was obviously very cute, but after she spoke, she had a fierce aura and a calm look in her eyes. Our school is famous for its academic and military skills, as well as its high enrollment rate and high employment rate. Everyone must know that these are the results of the continuous efforts of graduates and current students, and they are the pride of our school. I hope all freshmen can carry on the tradition. At last. As President Sakayanagi said, he paused slightly. What this school implements is an absolute strength-based system. That's what I want to say. The entrance ceremony is officially over. Your class teacher will tell you the specific details. Then, each class will exit in the order of A, B, C, D. Although the student union is quite cute and has a cold temperament, the noise from the microphone startled people for a moment, but they came back to their senses. But for first-year students, the student union is too far away from them. Some students have been in junior high school for 3 years and don't even know the student council president. There is no other way. The student council will only appear during some important programs. But one of them opened his mouth because. What's surprising is that the student union ended after just saying these few words. Don't you need a long explanation? At the same time. Is this how a school's entrance ceremony ends? But President Sakayanagi has also left the summit. The opening ceremony for new students held today was just a formality. Looking at the first-year students, it still feels like a world away. We are already second-year students. And still standing behind the scenes at the summit was a girl with beautiful long hair. This is Hanami Ichinose, the representative of second-year Class B. One of the secretaries of the student union. Because in her eyes, the gymnasium was completely empty in less than 10 minutes. Ichinose, it will be better if you feel a little nervous. Another student union secretary spoke up. The other party has very beautiful long silver white hair, delicate facial features, and a sweet smile. The most eye-catching thing is that she can control gray stockings. The gray stockings paired with her snow-white skin made her stand out a lot. This is Hiri Shiina. Hiri-san, don't you think President Sakayanaga's words are a bit familiar? Ichi-nose said. I remember President Horikita said the same thing when we were enrolled. Well, it's probably exactly the same. In other words, they just changed their names and copied everything from the speech given by the previous Student Council President Horikita Manabu when they were first-year students. This shows that President Sakayanagi handles some official meetings very officially. This also means that many materials left by the previous Student Council President Horikita Manabu can be used. And Manabu Horikita is a very good Student Council President, so his information can basically be applied directly. For the secretary, the workload has been reduced a lot. Hiri felt satisfied. She joined the student union, but she didn't really like it. She didn't like to be in the limelight, and she didn't want to do so many things. Especially after comparing the list, I realized that this was a meeting of love rivals. So it would be troublesome to get involved. What she wants is money, not getting herself into a bad situation that she can't extricate herself from. However, she also knew that the position of the student union was very crucial. If she got it, although she would not be a helper, she would still be wearing a tiger's skin. So, this is preparation for searching for new students. And now, the freshmen are so cute. Secretary Shiina had a pretty sweet smile on his face, but the freshmen who had just left didn't know that they had become rows of points in Secretary Shiina's eyes. But is it necessary for the president to leave in such a hurry? And little Angel Ichi-nose discovered that Sakayanagi was no longer at the summit and had already walked out of the gymnasium. The sun outside was a bit bright, and her puppy, Kamuro-san, was holding an umbrella for her. No, she has an appointment, Hiri said. Could it be that? Ichi-nose had a guess. President Sakayanagi is a bit like the smiling tiger, but sometimes he can be very explicit. And this kind of explicitness will only be to one person, that is. That's it? Hiri nodded slightly. Oreki-san will go to the student council office today. Then, the two had a date in the office. Chapter 209. Mr. Yu Cheng is probably doing the same thing as me. Oreki came to the student union. He had been here a few times during spring break, but he still had a subtle feeling every time he came here. Because the meeting room looked very girly. All the walls are covered in kawaii wallpaper, and stuffed animals are everywhere. So every time boys come here, they will be shocked. But knowing that this was Princess Banliu's idea, Oreki had no objection. And here is the student union. The student council president has great authority. For example, the layout of the entire department can be changed according to his interests. The previous student council president Horikita Manabu was a relatively aloof type and didn't like waste, so he basically just added a few tables, which was very formulaic. But this time it's different. President Banliu would be more concerned about the working environment. Considering that most of the student union is composed of girls, Itanu directly ignored the wishes of a few male members and turned the student union into this. Oreki-san, good morning. Obviously it's an entrance ceremony, but Hashimoto-san and Katsuragi-san are both very free. When Oreki arrived at the student union, he saw his classmates. Katsuragi-san and Hashimoto-san. Two people are working. Katsuragi-san, on the other hand, seems very honest. The president said that so many people don't need to attend. Oreki-san, what you're here for today is. Katsuragi knew that Oreki-san was dating Sakayanagi. I also know that the relationship between these two people, sooner or later there will be such a day. However, this is the student union. If you apply here, you can do something. After all, the student union has great authority, and you can use points to make many arrangements. Classmate Banliu asked me to come over. Is it? As far as the president is concerned, she has already returned. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 480. But what about the others? Oreki came to the student union, but only Hashimoto and Katsuragi were there. And it was these two people who talked to him. Well, there is also the introverted Kito Shunichi who doesn't like to talk, and the senior Kiriyama who has been promoted to the 3rd grade. Kiriyama-senpai is quite busy, doing document entry work. The same goes for Katsuragi-san. Although he was talking to Oreki-san, his eyes did not leave the computer. He is a very hard-working person. Oreki-san looked around and found familiar faces: Horikita-san, Archangel Ichinos, Hiri-san, and Angel Kushida. As well as Kuruzawa and Sato are not here. Shiina, Ichinos, and Horikita were called to help with the finishing touches to the freshman entrance ceremony, such as putting away the chairs and sorting out the trash. And the others were originally doing the sorting work with us, but after the president came back, they were arranged to go out on patrol. Katsuragi-san replied this way. Has Sakura-san even been called to patrol? Oreki-san caught a subtle point. Yes, the president said he hopes all members will participate. Really, it is indeed very clumsy to say that all the members are left behind to do the work, and then all the girls are sent away. In other words, when he was called over by Sakayanagi-san, it was not as simple as calling him over. Ah, I'm sorry. Hashimoto-san suddenly looked at his phone. Then he walked to the student council president's office one step ahead of Oreki-san, and after a while he moved out the guest chairs. At the same time, rhetoric was brought. Oreki-kun, the president calls you in. Boom. Oreki knocked on the door of the student council president's special office. Is this Oreki-san? Please come in. A voice soon came from inside. Oreki opened the door and saw Utaiji sitting on the side, his legs in white knee-high socks together, and his small white hands on the mouse. You came. Then come over. The president seems to have no airs. Seems quite friendly. But these are all lies. Because the person in front of her now is not another student, but her date. Oreki remembered that she said that if you want, then I can share the authority of the student council president with you. I called you here today to show you some information first. President Banliu said, but it must be very tiring to stand and talk. Please sit down. Please take a seat. Oreki-san then looked around, but he didn't see any other chairs. The chairs for guests had been moved out by Hashimoto. The only thing that could be called a chair now was. It must be where Banliu is sitting now. In other words, Banliu actually wanted him to hold her? Let her sit on his lap? No, it's not wanting, it's just what she does. That's why I asked Hashimoto to move out the chairs for entertaining guests. That's what I meant. Oreki-san confirmed again that being called here this time was definitely not just for business. Then, Oreki-san, who was not as tall as Horikita Suzune, picked up Itanaga's limp body. Then he made her sit on his lap. Banliu leaned his little head back slightly so that it could rest against his chest. Then Oreki clicked on a program on Itayaru's computer screen. And he found that when he did this, a small hand appeared on the back of his left hand on his knee. It seemed to be touching him. Oreki-san then decided to pretend that he didn't notice anything. He continued to look at the computer screen. And the information Banliu wanted to tell him was also revealed. OAA program. The full name is Overall Ability, which translates to Strength First. This is something that Principal Yu Cheng has prepared a long time ago. He just told me today and asked me to inform the 1st and 2nd grade teachers. But I plan to inform you again in the afternoon. Banliu wrote. And before that, I'll let you see. Ueshin collected information about our past first-year students and added some information about current freshmen to create this database. It contains the personal information of the entire school year. For example, if you click on the entry for class of the 2nd grade, the names of the students in our class will be displayed in the order of their 50s. Give it a try. Oreki-san then clicked the mouse. Immediately, starting from Hashimoto-san, the student number at the front, a whole row of students' names popped up. Click on a student at random, and then you can see the various abilities of the students registered in this database. Analyze students in terms of academic ability, intelligence, class contribution, and athletic talent. And mark the score level. For example, Masayoshi Hashimoto. Academic ability, B+. Intelligence, B. Class contribution, A. Athleticism, B. The final unified evaluation was 78 points. It's considered excellent. It can be considered a panel for most people in Class A. At the same time, you can also click on the data of characters in other classes. For example, Class D. And pets like Sakura. Academic ability, B. Intelligence, D. Class contribution, D. Athleticism, E. The final rating is 51 points. The evaluation can only be said to be average. But it can still be seen. This is also thanks to her academic improvement, so the panel is not ugly. But when it comes to Chi Kwanzi, academic ability, D. Intelligence, D+. Class contribution, D. Athleticism, E. The final evaluation was 39 points. It's relatively low. These data are the final unified analysis of the examinations that students have experienced in this school in the past. Speaking of which, during the holidays, the school's teaching tools have been improved, Oreki said as if mentioning it. This happened after March 22. The school used 1 week to replace the students' podiums and equipment. The blackboard was installed in an electronic version, and the projector was also updated to be more advanced. It's like the hardware has been improved all of a sudden. These are workloads that require workers to change and confirm one by one. As one of the representatives of Class A, Oreki-san easily received the report from his classmates. Yes. I have confirmed with my father that the school hopes to increase the investment of funds from above, but it is a pity that the funds from above are also limited, so only part of it is provided. But for the other shortcomings, Principal Tsukijo brought in sponsorship, Sakayanagi said. In other words, Principal Yu Cheng provided support. As for the funds supported, he will definitely get corresponding value. The world of adults is different from the world of students. They spend money where they need it. In other words, it's a transaction. There is no free lunch in the world. In other words, Mr. Tsukijo must have stuffed something into it. So Oreki-san clicked on that specific candidate. Class D, first grade. Ayanokaji Kiyotaka. Then the database's analysis of Ayanokaji Kiyotaka suddenly popped up. Academic ability, A+. Intelligence, A+. Class contribution, D. Athleticism, S. The final evaluation was 100 points. There are also notes on the side. The full score is 100 points, and the evaluation above 100 points is also 100 points. Very good, Principal Yu Cheng. While saying cowardly words, he directly pushed Ayanokaji-san to the front of the stage. Yes. The previous class vote to drop out of the exam could be regarded as Yamauchi's private action, and he targeted Ayanokaji-san. Later, Ayanokaji received the protection reward, but lost this protection during the command tower exam.